Hey, everybody, this is Larry. Still don't have his voice apparently. Ooh. This is day one of January leading, what? Day one of the year. Yay! Happy New Year, everybody. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button, join me in Discord, let me know what you think about today's part. It is actually midnight in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, but I am clearly at home, which is not midnight yet. So I'm a little bit before midnight, and just get this done and then I'm gonna go celebrate with, and let's go. Today we have 66 plus 1. You have a large integer, you have add 1, okay? I mean, this is pretty, which one is, okay, yeah, this is pretty standard, pretty straightforward. I think it's kind of funny because back in the day, way back in the day, you have a lot of, and I mean, I'm gonna age myself quite a bit, but like 25 years ago, when a lot of competitive programming is some mastery of large integers. This is before Java was in competitive programming because Java was just too slow at that time, and I say that because Java, I think it's 1.4 or Java 4, if you will. But maybe it was 1.3. I don't remember anymore. It was 20 something years ago, where they had big integer, and some people like me were starting to use it because I knew Java even back then. But as a result, there were some problems that were about big integers. Nowadays, you just don't see them anymore because, I mean, obviously, if you know that I'm doing Python, well, Python just has Python just kind of does it automatically. Obviously, Java still has the big integer class, I assume, because I haven't used that at least not for big integer reasons for that for a long time. I imagine other languages have some sort of things as well. I know that C++, even back then, had something in like GMP or something? Or am I making things up? Or in Boost, but those weren't standard enough to be in competitive programming yet. But this is a long time ago, right? The STL wasn't even in competitive programming, or maybe technically it was, but it was considered not performant. But this is what 20 years of improvement would do for you. Now everything's in vectors and stuff anyway, right? But anyway, okay, now I diverge a little bit. It's an easy problem anyway. This is day one of the new year. So just kind of give you some, some historic lesson, I suppose. And so a lot of this one, and even then, obviously, this one's a little bit easy for the big integer, but there was stuff that, I don't know. I mean, nowadays, I think competitive programming obviously has evolved a bit over time, and these questions are not asked partly because it's just not interesting, right? Because I could write a one-liner for this in Python, and it's also maybe less problem solving, but it's in the same way that it's kind of I find it a little bit amusing because it is kind of in the same way that like a segment tree would be plugged in nowadays, right? It's just like, hey, do you know this thing? And it was the same thing with big integers because, okay, like I said, +1 is pretty straightforward, I hope, but there were other big integer algorithms that they just kind of make the constraints so that you have to use the more optimized one. But like divide and conquer large integer multiplications, right? Or one that for some reason needed what's it, Kawabasu or something like that. I don't know. Multiplication algorithm, right? Kawachisuba, yeah. And the reason of that is just another kind of divide and conquer. Is just that back then you would have to consider that, and this is before parallelism on the processor level and stuff like that. You would have to consider, and to get some parallelization, if you will. I'm hand waving a little bit. Please feel free to correct me in the comments, but don't be too pedantic. Is that you're able to get addition and multiplication on different pipelines and stuff like that, and stuff that just allows you to kind of play around with it, right? And nowadays, obviously, on Leetcode, there are a lot of city optimizations you can do, that they ask you to do, but at least as far as I know, nothing quite to that level, right? But these are things that are kind of tools of the trade of the engineer. So these are things that I'm just kind of giving you historic context about. Hopefully you find it interesting. Let me know in the comments whether you find these things interesting or not in either case. Because I am curious whether, maybe I'm just rambling on and everyone just skips to whatever timestamp is, right? Though, I mean, maybe not for this one, because if you're here, you're just here to join me for Happy New Year, because this is a very easy, simple problem. In any case, yeah, that's all I have for this one. Let's actually solve this, right? I say with n is equal to n with digits, right? And then we have a carry bit, right? If I could spell, if I could type correctly, right? And then we just go from the back, and then we just move forward, right? I think there is a tricky one where you have to kind of append. I mean, they give it to you, so it's not like a surprise, but it's just something that you have to do, right? So yeah, and obviously you could even write something more specific for this problem, but I guess this makes it more specific, but I like to kind of just make it even a practice for, oops. Yeah, just in general. I mean, because this is a little bit more general. I know that this isn't right. Like I said, we didn't handle this case, but I want to just make sure that we're making this step to right progression. And this is how you do TDD, of course, anyway, right? Because, you try to write your code so that it fits the first test, the second test, and then now we can move on to the third test, which, as I said, we knew that it was going to be a thing. But I did already still made a mistake. So case 1 and case 2 is just don't have carry. Because even with carry, what I would have maybe hoped is that this is actually 0 with no leading 1, and not just this, right? Yeah, it's fine. Right, so they have to add this. Then now if carry, we have to do. And now we should be good, hopefully, because this is easy after all. But I am, I'm capable of making mistakes of all types. I believe in myself. I can make mistakes. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be obviously linear time. Sometimes you just can't help it, but it is also output sensitive-ish. So actually, no, not the way that I wrote it. You should probably terminate, actually, if carries you go to 0, terminate early. But whatever. But that's it. That's all I have for this one. Let's go 2026. That's the year, right? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me in Discord. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let's kick this New Year's butt. Alright, see ya. Stay good, stay healthy to good mental health. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye bye.